You're watching the Isuzu 3 Towers, brought to you by Westfall, your Isuzu dealer, and tested by Mankele Mountain Biking.
Yeah, about 8 years ago we decided to start Mankele mountain biking, and then we decided to also have a stage race, and we approached Westfall, and they've been our sponsor from day one, and they've helped us grow this event to what it's become today. And Mpumalanga has got amazing riding. You can go in any direction. There's always something cool to add to it. We actually feel a little bit spoilt. You know, you want to add a river, a crossing, or anything like that, and you can really just choose which one you want to use. And I think that's what makes this event and Mankele special. There's something for everybody.
The campsite at Mankele Bike Park slowly livened up as riders prepared for stage 1 of the Isuzu 3 Towers. A low cloud base was an indication that they were in for a beautiful day on the bike. Mankele Bike Park is situated between Nelspruit and Sabi and is well known for its rough, rocky riding and big climbs. It has endless kilometers of well-established single track, and riders were in for a real treat over the 3 days. The first batch to start were the riders competing in the full-length 3-day race. But there is also the shorter challenge for the less experienced or unfit riders. And then there is the Mkane for novices, which offers routes of roughly 30 kilometers per day. Immediately, local boy Max Knox, who lives in Sabi, darted off the front, forcing his partner KwaZulu-Natal's raw cruiser to work hard, gritting his teeth as he powered up the climb. It appeared the only team keen to chase them down were Darren Lill and Wayland Wilcock. Other serious contenders for a podium place were Nico Bell and Eric Kleinant, Gabi Kombrick and Johan Rabi, and Connie Looser and Matt Beers. At the moment, Looser looked to be struggling to match the tempo set by the other pros. An early lead for Yolandi de Toy and Namibian Vera Adrian riding as Team Garmin Wheeler in the women's race.
The 3 Towers is an event in this area. We both come from the area. Both our sons have ridden it. They're racing snakes, so we thought that the dads must show them that we could also do the race. So we felt it was a perfect opportunity to actually give it a go. Living in Mpumalanga, we have a lot of hills. Okay, so we've always felt that our training would prepare us for this. I don't think anything can prepare you for this. I really don't. It's the most technically difficult riding that you can possibly imagine. I mean, it tests every fibre of your body.
It certainly is testing riding indeed. With the race village in Mankele Bike Park, every day the field inevitably have to climb a long way before the fun downhill and multitude of single tracks can be enjoyed. For now though, the riders were dealing with a lung-burning climb which would lead them into the first single track of the day. Leading the mixed category, Amy Beth McDougall, without her partner Grant Usher, who was probably still somewhere at the bottom of the climb. Finally, some welcome reward, the first taste of 3 Towers single track and the beginning of many exhilarating kilometers of fun. The race derives its name from the 3 radio masts positioned on hilltops in the vicinity of Mankele. Mount Carmel is a popular paragliding location, and with the spectacular views just visible through the thick mist, it's easy to understand why. While the competitors in the main stage race are about to enjoy B's single track, the leaders of the challenge were busy setting their 48-kilometer course alight. While the challenge is shorter than the stage race, it's no less difficult. Featuring all the best sections that the longer course riders experience, it gives the country's young up-and-coming stars a chance to show off their talent. And there certainly was no shortage of talent amongst these youngsters.
Day one, the riding was an excellent mix of climbs, rewarded by some good single tracks and bush tunnels. A perfect mix actually of riding. We thoroughly enjoyed day one. It was by far our best time of the 3 days. So yeah, a very good introduction to the Mankele Three Towers challenge.
Then Barry's Bush Tunnel and its ridiculously steep entrance, which was causing quite a stir.
Barry's Bush Tunnel is again one of those lovely watercourse dongas with quite a steep, very straight, but probably a 45-degree angle drop in, and this drop in slides in for probably about 20-30 meters. And you see the guys locking their brakes and all the way down to the bottom. Dust clouds flying everywhere. But once you're in the bush tunnel itself, again, it's like a roller coaster half pipe that just glides from side to side all the way down to the bottom.
Not everyone was able to successfully negotiate the tricky entry, but as Jeff Anderson said, once you get into the bush tunnel, you can just let the brakes go and allow gravity to do the rest.
Good day, sir.
Having worked their way into a sizable lead, Knox and Crusoe were not showing any signs of slowing down as they neared the end of stage one. The chasers, Combrink and Rabi of EAI and Reciem's Bell and Kleinans were fighting for second place. The riding fun was punctuated every now and then with a brute of a climb. This particular climb heads towards Healing Wings Rehab Centre, where the occupants have been put to good use building some awesome single track on their land for the riders to enjoy.
Yeah, Healing Wings is a rehab centre run by Charles Fourie, who's a mountain biker, and they've got the land there. And yeah, what's amazing is they've bought bikes and using it at the rehab to get the guys, you know, hooked on something else. And I mean, I don't think there's any better drug to get hooked on than mountain biking. When that adrenaline just starts pumping, you just know that's the way you want to go. And they've built kilometers of single track for us there, and it's really awesome to see the guys on their bikes and just getting themselves sorted out.
No man, go fast and furious.
Some encouraging words from Jeff Anderson, the better half of the organising duo who put on this amazing event. On the other side of the course, Jeff's business partner and childhood friend Mark Meyer had just managed to catch up to the race leaders Max Knox and Roy Crusoe. Mark and Jeff race around like madmen, helping the camera crew cover all the best sections of this race with their Garmin Verb action cameras. Second place on day one went to Eric Kleinans and Nico Bell. Eric almost putting on a show for Mark, who might as well be a professional mountain biker the way he manages to keep up with his top athletes. First place for Yolandi de Toy and Vera Adrian, a great day's riding by the Garmin Valencia pair, the women's race.
With the terrain that we've got here, our 70k is quite tough, and we decided at a stage to put in a 50k too for the guys that can't get as much training as possible. And then we just noticed so many guys come through with their families that they might as well also, the wife can start off and start off with a 35, and people want to get into stage racing. It's very tough to make the leap and go for the big races, so we decided to put in the 35, and it's huge. The guys have got into it and they really trumping on, and it's quite nice to see this year that guys have moved up to the challenge, so I'm sure next year they'll be on to the race.
After an exhausting day on the bike, riders could enjoy lunch, refreshments and an afternoon nap in the chill zone. Knox and Crusoe of Biogen 2 hours and 35 minutes for the 66Ks and a handy lead of just over 5 minutes over Reciem with EAI third. Carla van Hastien and Janine Rawlinson some 4.5 minutes behind Yolandi de Toy and Vera Adrian of Garmin Wheeler after stage one in the women's race. Amy Beth McDougall and Grant Usher, a dominant performance. They take the lead on stage 1 in the mixed. Sunscreen was the order of the day on day 2, with sweltering heat expected in the area. It was another long day for the stage racers, with 70 kilometres and 1,800 metres of climbing to cover. It was not an easy day at all.
Yeah, day 2 starts off a little bit differently too. It's quite a flattish section in the beginning. The guys go quite a speed out here. And then they get to the mine shaft. For me personally, it's my favorite bit. It's incredibly challenging, but the reward, when you get to the bottom, you're quite happy if you made it. It's quite a bit of moo-poo to watch out for on the way down, but that just makes it a little bit more interesting.
The cattle trail was a lucky find for the organisers, who came across a perfectly cut single track meandering through the rocky grasslands with absolutely no work required to maintain it. This section leads straight into the mine shaft, an exhilaratingly steep 3-kilometre descent beneath the shelter of a bush tunnel.
Yeah, stage 2, you go along the cattle trail, and that quickly turns into what they call the mine shaft, which even for locals like myself, I do a lot of training in the White River area, but that's something completely different. It's very rocky, very slippery. Some of the back markers, such as myself, had to get off my bike for sections of that. So it really does challenge the technical skills. But yeah, you get a huge sense of satisfaction when you manage to ride a bit that perhaps in the past you haven't been able to.
A repeat of day 1 for Knox and Cruiser, who once again put the hammer down early into the stage. They were looking strong as they hit the bottom of the first of 2 very lengthy climbs. Behind them, Bell and Kleinans had also broken away from the rest of the pack as they sought to limit the damage caused by the race leaders. On the other side of the endless climb is an even longer descent, so long that even raw Cruiser was experiencing arm fatigue. The rest of the riders were climbing as steadily as the mid-morning temperature as they toiled up the climb. At last, a break from the sweltering heat as riders turned off into beautifully shaded pine plantations where they could once again enjoy the thrill of single-track heaven. Just don't get too close to the trees.
Yeah, Mankele is known for its technical side of riding, mainly due to the cross-country side of life that we've got here, and we're hosting the Nationals. But when it gets to the stage race itself, I mean, no doubt about it, Mpumalanga's got its rocks and it's got its heavy climbs and stuff, but when it gets to the single track, we do our best to make it as smooth as possible and for the guys achievable. Everything is rideable. Just depends what speed you're going sometimes. I personally think the slower you go, the harder you fall. The faster you go, you fly over the rocks. But we definitely aim it at anybody can ride that does mountain biking. You must just be prepared and get your fitness up. A big mistake guys do is they get to a race and they think it's technical, but meanwhile the problem is the fitness is not there. So when they get to the technical sections, their arms are tired, their legs are tired, and they just can't do it.
The leaders had now reached Junior's Bush Tunnel, one of the most iconic sections of the whole race. Rocky, steep and narrow with lots of twists and turns, it took great skill and concentration for Mark Mayer to chase these two at full speed with a camera attached to his head.
Tsepi Bush Tunnel and Juniors Bush Tunnel is a crowd pleaser. It's 7.5 kilometers long. It's got rock gardens and awesome little berm sections in it. And I think what makes it also amazing is it's obviously undercover. So on the hot days when you've been climbing in the heat and you're starting to feel sorry for yourself and you can hear violins playing in your ears because you think you're at your end, and you get to that bush tunnel, it's in the shade and you feel like a rock star. I mean, you go down there, the guys on the Ngani, anybody feels like they can give Greg Minnow a run for their money.
These routes require full concentration as they change swiftly from single track to rock gardens to bridges and tunnels. One small lapse in concentration could spell sudden and surprising disaster. Max Knox and Rourke Crusoe with 6.5 minutes over Eric Kleinhans and Nick Hobel of Riciem, with Combrick and Ravi holding steady in third, Swanepoel and Gordon doing well in fourth. Detroit and Adrian extending their overall lead in the women's race, just over 6 minutes over from Hastings and Rawlinson. The Valencia Hippies, another superb ride in the mixed category, 20 minutes ahead of their competition. After the day's riding was done, riders could browse Valencia's superb shop for anything they could possibly need, from spares to riding gear and even a brand new bike. Not to mention 2 full-time mechanics to tend to mechanical problems. Valencia is the official bike sponsor of Mankele mountain biking and went to great lengths to ensure every rider's needs were tended to.
Day three is it's a big day. It's short in distance, only 48 k's. But there's a lot of work to be done before the guys get to relax and enjoy the downhills. They climb and a bit more climbing. And they have 1 or 2 alpine single track sections in between, and they climb some more. I think total climbing is probably about 20 k's. And from there on, it's fun all the way home.
With the knowledge that they'd be climbing for 20 kilometers in the first 20 k's of the stage, riders set off for the third and final time, making their way out of the bike park and into the mountains. The Valencia Hippies, Grant Usher and AB Beth McDougall, had a firm grasp on the mixed race, and by the time they finished, their lead was 1 hour and 1 minute, a brilliantly dominant performance by these 2 single-speed junkies. Again, Crusoe and Knox were on the front, setting a blistering pace. This time Rourke was doing all the hard work and Max was doing the gritting. Yet more beautiful trails through lush bush, shaded by trees, helped shelter the riders from the blistering heat which was steadily rising as the day wore on.
Stage 3 of the challenge today is interesting because it's the same route as the race. So the race and the challenge do the same route. It was probably the hardest of the 3 days. I actually thought yesterday would have been, but it was a lot of climbing, 1 long climb at the beginning, and then some really excellent single track through the forests. I think the last 15 k's was probably the hardest of the race overall, but the temperature really increased. I recorded 37 degrees on my Garmin.
Now the whole Sudwala Valley has quite a rich history. It goes back to even before the Anglo-Boer War days. With the whole Swazi tribes, they actually took the Sudwala Caves as a refuge during the Anglo-Boer War. It's also the Kruger Millions. You know, there was all sorts of legends and history that the Kruger Millions were hidden away inside the Sudwala Caves. But you know, now the gold rush is gone, the mountain biking rush is here. And yeah, I think a lot of people know about Mankele. It's well situated in the heart of Mpumalanga, We're about 30 k's from Nelspruit. So there's lots to see and do in this area, you know, and I would really recommend anybody coming out to Mankele and the whole of Mpumalanga really.
All our trails are rideable. I mean, we design them for that. We're not trying to prove a point and try to get the guys off their bike. But mountain biking is a confidence thing, no doubt about it. Guys with confidence that go into it and just roll into it and just let the bike do what it's supposed to do. I mean, the bikes travel on the bikes, and most guys on 29ers, you just roll down the things and it should get to the bottom. But on the other hand too, if a guy gets off and he pushes his bike through a section, it's no big deal. That's what makes mountain biking such a cool sport. I mean, anybody can do it. If you can climb the climbs or the biggest climbs and race it to the top, awesome. If you can't, you got to push, you push, but yeah, you get to the finish somehow.
We're onto a new section of trail, which was recently added on Simon Dunshay's property, known as the Twycross Farm. This is a lovely section of single track which traverses over a little stream, and there must be about 7 or 8 bridge crossings there, which is really cool. Again, the lovely bush willow trees just hanging over the stream, lovely views, nice and green, lush, and
Race leaders Knox and Cruiser still with Waylon Woolcock in tow, who was keeping his distance behind them, making sure not to interfere with the racing as he was riding solo, his partner Darren Lill having withdrawn from the race. An untimely puncture for Max cost them valuable minutes, putting pressure on the team for the first time during the race. They soon had it repaired and they were on their way. They would have to chase hard to save the 7-minute lead they had coming into the stage. Another drop into another bush tunnel, this one not as rocky as some of the others, giving riders the chance to really enjoy some fast-paced action.
wicked!
Here's something you don't see often. Heading underneath the highway through a super low tunnel, riders had to virtually lie flat on their crossbars to get underneath. The excitement never ends at the Isuzu 3 Towers.
Temperatures are soaring today, 34, 35 degrees out there. And there's one more climb, a nasty dog of a climb, all the way up to the top of the avalanche. But it definitely pays off, because when you're at the top there, I mean, you don't get views like that. Wonderful bourgeonstads growing on the side of the mountain, aloes, these little reed grasses, bush tea, you know, it's really, really special up there. Beautiful and green and lush at the moment because, you know, of the recent fires we've had through there and the wonderful bit of early summer rain that we've had, or spring rain that we've had. Everything just looks so clean and fresh, and you can see for miles. The views are so awesome and picturesque. It's quite a humbling experience being at the top there. You know, you feel so small.
The final and longest tunnel of the 3 days, 80 meters long and pitch black inside. Without the lights, the only thing you'd see riding through here is the light at the end of the tunnel, and negotiating a way through is tricky as you lose all sense of direction. This one always causes great excitement. And then the final section of single track, to take them the last couple of kilometers back to Mankele Bike Park, and the end of 3 tough but extraordinary days of mountain biking. This year's Isuzu 3 Towers was certainly one to remember. A puncture on the final day did cost Knox and Cruiser some time, but they were still able to hold out for the win over Kleinans and Bell. Combrink and Rabi taking third on the podium. Yolandi de Troy and Vera Adrian completed a clean sweep of podium positions and a comprehensive victory over Carla van Heifteen and Janine Rawlinson of Team Time Freight. And overall honours in the mixed category to Amy Beth McDougall and Grant Usher after 3 days of quality riding. In the challenge, Emily Clark and Kirsten Gillespie took the win in a shade under 9 hours. For Valencia, Pippin Sprout, Vivian Turvey and Jeanette Treherne were in second place. It's off-season for the pros, and Valencia Fatties 8:27.05, Samantha Sanders and Justin Victor were still strong enough to utterly dominate the mixed ahead of Sticky and his fat wife, Dick Ruud and Dorothy Ruud, with Alison Emery and Sean Gillespie in third. Liam de Klerk and Reinhard Zellhuber, two fine, fast youngsters, winning the men's challenge by just a couple of minutes over another local pair, Jared van der Heeven, Andreas Kuhn, Tyrone Currie and Jason Abbott in third place. You've been watching the Isuzu 3 Towers, brought to you by Westphal, your Isuzu dealer, and tested by Mankele Mountain Biking.